Yes, let's start with our third episode of our web series. Today we will present you the feature Advanced Analytics, part of the Intune Suite, and we will show you the new report capabilities and what else we can do with Advanced Analytics. Today I'm here with my colleague, Stephen Beeler. Stephen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Daniel. So yeah, my name is Stephen Beeler. I'm a cloud engineer at glueckkanja, and I focus on developing and automating our managed Intune and managed Entra service. And I also have a focus on macOS management. If you have any questions during this webinar, we have a Q&A section. Just write it in there so we can answer them. And if you have any other questions after the webinar, you can see our LinkedIn tags here. So just hit us up on LinkedIn and we'll answer you there. So I give it back to you, Daniel.
Yes, my name is Daniel Rung, and I'm also a cloud engineer like Stephen. I focus on developing our managed Intune service and yeah, a lot of automating the service and reporting, monitoring. Yes, let's start with the agenda today. We will talk about what is, at the start, what is Advanced Analytics, what are the key features, which licensing and prerequisites we have here. We show you how the setup looks in Intune itself in a live demo. And then we go to a deep dive of the reportings we get here. And then the maybe most interesting thing, the device query and multi-device query, we'll show you in a live demo on our lab. And at the end, we will look into our integrations in our services at glueckkanja. And if we have time enough, we will go into the questions and answer them for the ones didn't do in the chat. Yes, Steve, start with the introduction.
Yeah, so let's talk about why advanced analytics. I want to start out here with a meme. So in your IT environment, the world may be already burning around you without you noticing. And advanced analytics is here to help gather information so you can already see problems before they occur. Because in your environment, it could be that all devices are compliant, your policies are rolled out, but you have issues with other applications or with devices, and you can only see it once you get a help desk call. And today we really want to focus on switching from this reactive way of troubleshooting and error fixing to a more of a proactive endpoint management. So as we can see here on the left side, instead of having the user to call the help desk once the problem already occurred and then they have to wait, they can't work, we want to switch over to already analyzing and seeing problems before they create a widespread fire. And this is especially relevant today in cloud environments, because back in the day in corporate networks, all devices were in the same network and you could use tools like PSExec to troubleshoot devices. And today where everybody works from home or remote and devices are more secure than ever, this also creates a barrier for Intune admins to actually see what is going on the devices. So advanced analytics helps with this. Let's talk about what it actually is. So advanced analytics gives you deeper insights, as the name suggests, into your device's configuration and what is going on exactly on the device. And all of this runs in the Intune portal. So no need to remote into a device, you get it all in one view on the Intune portal. It has been around since about 2024 and Microsoft has been improving it constantly. And there's a reason why we're doing this webinar today, because back in 2025, Microsoft announced that advanced analytics with also other features are going to be integrated in the E3 and E5 licenses. So before you could only get it if you either had the Intune Suite or you had to buy it as an additional add-on. And now it's going to be integrated by June 2026 into the E3 and E5 licenses. If you are interested in the other features that are going to be integrated, then check us out on YouTube. We already have 2 webinars that we did, and they're available on YouTube now. And we also have 2 upcoming webinars on these topics, similar to this one about advanced analytics. So let's talk about the key features of advanced analytics. Yeah, it's pretty fully packed. I nearly couldn't fit it all on the same slide. So let's just start from the top to the bottom, just a quick overview. So we have anomaly detection, which is an AI and machine learning powered alert that is created automatically. So no need to create rules or set policies. This is all done automatically. And Microsoft does this with statistical information they gathered from Intune environments around the globe, but also based on how your clients were performing over the last few months, and the alerts and anomalies are created automatically. Then we have battery health reports. So also until now, there was not really a good way to see how your batteries are performing in your environment. And especially if I think of how I like to call them the spicy pillows, this can actually get quite dangerous once your battery starts bloating. So battery health reports helps you mitigate these issues before they get critical. And then we have resource performance reports. Yes, this is also self-describing. With this, you can monitor how CPU and RAM metrics are working out on your devices, and you can also analyze if business groups have the right performance for what they need to do for work, or if they have overspec'd or underspec'd devices that are always running high. Then we have the enhanced device timeline. You can imagine this a little bit like event viewer back on Windows, just that you have this all in the Intune portal and you don't have thousands of events. You just have the relevant information all on one site. So this is also a great way to see what is going on the device also historically. And then we have the device queries. This is also a pretty cool feature. So there are 2 different types, single device queries where you can get real-time information directly from the device. And this really goes deep, so you can put together your own queries and go really deep into the system and find out exactly what you need for troubleshooting. And then if you want to go one step further and do this across the board on your environment, you can also use multi-device queries and run this for different types of OSs. Then we have settings insights. So if you already use Endpoint Analytics, which is integrated into Intune, you already have the settings insights, which gives you recommendations. And now Advanced Analytics also fully integrates into this, so you get insights and recommendations based on the data of Advanced Analytics. And then last but not least, with Advanced Analytics, you can also scope what analytics data you want to get. So for instance, if you have specific teams or locations and an administrator is responsible, they can scope it so they only get the information and the reports of the data that is relevant to them. So with this, I give it back to you, Daniel, to talk about licensing and prerequisites.
Thank you, Stephen. Let's talk about it. Yeah, so licensing. You can purchase the Advanced Analytics license standalone as add-on, or it's included in the Intune Suite. But the best option, of course, is from June on, it's included in the M365 E3, like Remote Help and Intune Plan 2. And of course, all features which are in the E3 are also in the E5. So it's rolling out in June, and hopefully it's rolling out fast and we can use these features. There are even more requirements for your devices. I hope your fleet is over build 1903, and yeah, Windows 10 is working, but also I hope your fleet is on Windows 11. That's absolutely the recommendation here from Microsoft. And the devices need to be enrolled into Intune and need at least to be hybrid Entra-joined, or the recommended option is here cloud only, Entra-joined only. And they need also to be onboarded in Endpoint Analytics. We show you later in the demo. And yeah, let's go to the next page. What about the setup? So you need at least one license in your tenant that you can use this feature. And the devices need to be first an endpoint analytics. So advanced analytics built up on top of endpoint analytics, add value to this feature. Yeah, you at the beginning you need to onboard your devices, and this is done by you just go to Intune reporting endpoint analytics and start with the data collection policy. It's just a configuration profile in Intune under the template health monitoring. And yeah, let's switch on. Steven, do we want to show the people that one in the live demo?
Yes, of course. Let's switch to the live demo. So let me just share my screen here. Yes, so I have here different environments. So first I want to show you, if you don't yet have endpoint analytics enabled in your tenant, this is a really cool feature, and I would recommend, even if you don't have advanced analytics, definitely go ahead and enable this, because this already gives you basic reports on your devices. You can find this here. We are in the Intune portal. This is a familiar view. And if we switch to reports, and then here at the bottom, we have endpoint analytics. Then if it isn't set up yet, you will get this screen. And we recommend just choose all cloud managed devices, and then you can click on start, and the data will take about 24 to 48 hours to accumulate, and then you can start. So if you have it enabled, it looks about like this. And you can see if advanced analytics is not enabled in your tenant, for the features that are relevant, they are locked here with this banner. So you won't be able to use it only once you get the license. So you can, for instance, get a trial if you want to already try it out a little bit in advance. And as we said in the beginning, latest in June 2026, they should start rolling it out till 1st of August, and all E3 and E5 users will be able to use advanced analytics. So let me switch to an environment where we actually have an active license. And let me give you just a quick walkthrough where each feature is nested in Intune, because they are spread a bit across the environment. So let's just start here on the right side with the insights and recommendations. As I said, this already exists for endpoint analytics, but here we now have an integration of the advanced analytics data that is pulled. So for instance, we see here at the in the middle, you have one device with batteries under 60% capacity and lower runtime. So you can see that these recommendations are also based on the information of advanced analytics. Then the device scopes, the custom scopes I talked about, these we can switch here. So we can define different scopes. And for example, we have defined here Switzerland. Now, the reason why this is grayed out is because this is a lab environment and there's only one device in it. So also as a heads up, if you have scopes, be sure that you also have enough devices in it so you get data. If you're just running tests, this will be difficult. And then at the bottom, we see Windows 365. So this is one of the device scopes that is built in and automatically enabled as soon as you have Windows 365 computers in your environment. Then let me just quickly show you here in settings. So you can create baselines. So you can compare, it's like a snapshot, and then you can compare your data against snapshots. And we have automated this, but this we will show a bit later. So just so you know where one can create this, this is in the settings and baseline blade. Then we jump here to resource performance. Well, actually, let me switch back to the overview. I nearly forgot anomalies, of course, what I talked about in the beginning. So here, because this is also a lab environment, we don't have any anomalies that are shown here. But if you have a bigger environment, you will get anomalies here if certain devices have issues. And as you can see, there's no need to set up anything. It all is created automatically. Then now let's switch to resource performance. So here we can see how the devices are performing, also based on model and device performance. Then we have the battery health, Also here, this is cut up into device performance, model performance, OS performance, and app impact. And then let's switch to the user experience, the device timeline. So I will switch here. For this, you need to go onto a specific device. Let me just choose my virtual machine here. Let's go ahead. Let me choose this one. And then we can switch here to user experience. This is a bit hidden, but on the user experience, we can see all of this information also of advanced analytics like battery health. And in the end, we have the device timeline. And in the device timeline, you can see things like boot time, logon time, and much more information. We will do a deep dive after this demo. Then device query. So if you want to do real-time device queries, you can find this also directly on the device. So choose the device, and then here you can set off device queries. And if you want to do multi-device queries, you switch back to the top layer, go to device query, and this is the same interface, but if you execute the query here, it is queried over all devices. So let us switch back to the presentation. So let me be sure that we are back on the right page. And now we can talk a bit more in detail about anomaly detection. So the anomalies are detected by constantly monitoring your telemetry data of advanced analytics. And it does this with 4 different models. So one is the threshold model. This is very basic. This is not really based on machine learning. So the threshold model works like this, that Microsoft gathered a lot of statistical data and set certain fixed numbers of thresholds. And once a device exceeds this, then it is flagged. So it creates an anomaly. Then we have the paired t-test model. So this is a before and after comparison. So for instance, if you roll out a software update and for some reason the device isn't behaving correctly, it will compare the before state and the after state, and it will be able to create an anomaly based on that. This is also valid for policy changes, for example. Then we have the population Z-score model. So this compares a single device against the fleet. So if you have 500 devices and one is acting weird, is kind of off, is the odd one out, then it flags this. So it kind of finds the black sheep of your environment and flags these and creates anomalies. And then we have the last model that is used. So this is the time series Z-score. And what this does is it takes the device and its history and compares it against the history. So if your device has been performing brilliantly over the last few months, and then suddenly it starts and has issues, it will also create an anomaly because this is a change in the device behavior. And these anomalies are usually set up in 4 different severity levels. So you have high, medium, low, and informational. And this is also based on how many devices are affected by the problem, and of course also how severe it is. For instance, if you have one device that has a bit of a low battery capacity, this is just going to be informational. But if you have 40 devices with high CPU spikes all the time, this is of course going to be a high severity alert. Then we have device cohorts. So what the anomaly detection also does is it recognizes patterns. So if you have, for instance, a group of devices that all got the same software update and have been misbehaving since then, it will create a group and group those devices so you can see what the common ground of those devices is and why the problem is actually occurring. And of course, you have the dashboard. I already showed you before. I will also show you a screenshot how it looks like. And of course, this is exactly what we want, to be more proactive, to see, hey, there are problems in our environment. For instance, we release a new software update on a Ring, and then we see, hey, these devices are having issues before we roll it out onto the whole environment. So this is really the idea of proactive management. Let me just show you here real quick how this looks like in a productive environment. So we have an example. So here we have 5 high severity alerts and 1 informational one. So this is also, if we take the informational one, devices experiencing high volume of application crashes or hangs in the last 29 days, and it's affecting one device. So that's at the very bottom. Yeah, that's just informational. And if we take the example here in the right screenshot, then we have olk.exe, so that is the new Outlook. And here we have an anomaly, which is saying experiencing crashes or hangs on over 5% of the device in a 48-hour window. So this is definitely something to look into. 11 affected devices, and we can even see what analytics model was used here. So this is the threshold model that was used based on these limits that Microsoft has set. Okay, let's talk about battery health now. So this is very self-explanatory, but I just want to also talk about the use cases and where it actually makes a lot of sense. So as I've said, if you have problematic batteries in your environment, this can also be dangerous. If they bloat up, it is a fire hazard. So this is a really cool way to figuring out what devices actually have issues. And also because it's based on models, you can see what hardware models are performing well and which ones you would maybe not purchase again. And this is, of course, also great to decide on what hardware you want to go forward with, and also decide on life cycles. If you see, for instance, you have a device model that 90% of the batteries are bad, then you should definitely life cycle it. Or if they are still under warranty, you can still exchange the battery in warranty before it runs out. So you can profit of this analytics quite a bit. And how this looks like, I just want to show you the overview here. So I find this also a good example of the insights and the recommendations on the right side. You can see you have the top one is you have 34 devices with batteries at a 60 to 80% capacity. So yeah, that's quite a bit, not such a good battery performance. And now you could dig into it and find out exactly what models, maybe also what OS version is impacting it. So maybe you rolled out a new OS version, Windows OS version, and it is impacting your devices. And actually one of the coolest features is the app impact. So you can see what applications are draining your battery, because we all know that one user that never has any battery and is saying, hey, my device is being drained constantly. And the problem is usually if you take this device into testing, you don't work the same like the user does. So it's difficult to analyze exactly what is causing the issue. And here you can see clearly what applications use the most battery in your environment. And to no surprise, we have Edge and Teams at the very top. So yeah, back to you, Daniel, about the resource performance.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, let's talk about the third and last report from Advanced Analytics, the resource performance one. This one shows you how the utilization of RAM and CPU is per device. It aggregates resource metrics of a device in a health score. It can help you to find the most problematic computers, or it combines also the computers in a model view, so to find the most problematic models maybe in your fleet. This can help you in a hardware refresh or decision making, which hardware should be changed after a while. Maybe also in a device view, which user needs maybe a more performing device, because 8 GB of RAM is maybe not enough for compiling something. And yeah, let's look into the report. This is the overview. On the top, you see the 3 tabs. So you can switch between overview, model performance, or per device performance. Like the other reports, you have on the right side decision makings. What is here also interesting, if you have W365, you get here also nice recommendations which W365 need maybe, or is underutilized. So maybe you need a higher license for this user. And you also see with warnings and critical warnings which devices have always high utilization of RAM or CPU or both. And on the next page, we dig deeper to the model performance. So here in the model view, we see some values I explained to you. So the CPU and RAM spike time basically means the percentage of each gives you is the average of the last 14 days. So it's not a one-day problem. It's more over the time. A spike is considered for CPU if the duration of CPU is always over 50%, and for RAM it's if the usage is over 75%. And the score, so the score is calculated about the percentage and duration time of a device. And a low score means there could be a health issue, and a high score is this device is absolutely perfect, or the model works absolutely perfect in your fleet. And yeah, let's go to the device timeline. Like Steven showed you, the device timeline is in the user experience on a device in Intune. So it collects all analytics data for each device. And you can see events which happen just before an issue occurs. So you have app crashes, app hangs, maybe after a boot, or a blue screen appears before app crashes, which can help you to identify and troubleshoot an issue. In the overview of the device timeline, you see all reports we see now before. On the top, after you have the license for advanced analytics, it's enabled for resource performance, battery health, and the device timeline on the top. In the resource performance, it's nice to troubleshoot, because here you get the full historical data of this device, and can see is the RAM and CPU moving up and down, or it stays absolutely high all the time, and this gives you nice insights. On the battery blade, you can exactly see how this battery of this device is performing. On the left side, it's interesting, maybe also for decision making for exactly this device, how much battery cycles were on this device. And yeah, on the right side, so it's in the view, it's a little bit down. You will see exactly from this device which applications were the most consuming battery, has consuming the battery the most. So in this example, it's the Visual Studio Code, and then you see the most, it goes a little bit down. So interactive and non-interactive too, as well. Yeah, and the device timeline gives you all the events which happen on the device. So you see the app crashes here and hangs, which on this device were really often. On the details, you see a little bit detailed parts, what happened on the device. And if we switch to the next page, event types which you can see here are app crashes, or is an app unresponsive. You see device boots, and how long the boot takes in the details. How long did the device logon take? And like Steven showed you in the anomalies, here you also see the app events from anomalies detected from this device, which are also in the big overview of the affected devices of an anomaly. The timeline here is up to 30 days, and the events are not every time real time. So if a boot happens, it will first report the boot after the device will start up again. So it could take up to 24 hours. Steven, do you want to show us a bit about device query and multi-device query?
Yes, exactly. Let's talk about device queries. So you can imagine it a little bit like WMI was in SCCM, so you can query devices with KQL, and it's really great because you have a lot of insights. So I'm just going to give you a few examples here, but the list is nearly endless. So you can get data like CPU and memory specs, installed apps, registry keys, running processes, config settings. So you can really do a deep dive on a device. And of course, if you're, for instance, troubleshooting a device, this is great because you don't have to access the device remotely. You can do it from the Intune portal, and you can build great queries with KQL. You have 100% flexibility to get exactly the information that you need. And we have single device queries and multi-device queries. So let me show you the differences. So for single device queries, which you execute directly on the device, well, in the Intune blade on the device, the device has to be powered on and reachable. Because how this works technically in the background is it uses the Windows push notification service to get an answer. And for that, the device has to be powered on. So that's the only drawback for single device queries. The device has to be powered on, but therefore you have instant real-time information. And just as a heads up, if you have any issues, if you can't query the device, definitely check if it's offline, and also check it could be that your firewall is maybe blocking the service, the Windows push notification service. So this could also be an issue. And also just as a side note, you can do 15 queries per minute. So that's pretty fine. If you aren't automating something highly, then that shouldn't be an issue. So how does this compare to multi-device query? So since with multi-device query, you can query devices across your whole environment, this won't anymore work with live data. So how this works is, once it is enabled, Microsoft builds a Cosmos database in the background. So no need for you to do anything. This is all done automatically in the background. And then the data of advanced analytics is fed onto the Cosmos database. And what you also need here is you need to set up a policy. So you need a properties catalog policy. So this information, all the data is saved. And what is also great about it is you can also filter into subsets. So you really have a lot of flexibility. And the data takes about up to 24 hours to populate. And of course, if a device doesn't run for 2 months, you're going to have the data of 2 months ago. So this is really an approach, again, real-time versus a database, but therefore you can query all the devices. And also what is a difference here, so since single device queries use the Windows push notification service, and this only works on Windows devices, you have a lot of different properties you can query. And if we're looking at multi-device query, this is actually supported across the board. So you can do it for Windows, iOS, Android, and macOS. And you also have the additional properties for this. So if you want to, for instance, query your Apple devices, you have the properties to do this. So you can really build great reports. And I know maybe you're now saying, hey, but I don't know how KQL works. It's not really a language that I know. Then no worries. If this is really an issue, you can actually use Security Copilot to describe what you want to query in natural language. So in this example, we said, show me a device that has at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, 50 gigabytes of storage, and has at least one encrypted drive. And then Security Copilot will build this KQL query for you without you having to know how KQL works. So this is really a great addition if you're unsure with KQL. And since it's pulling data only in read mode, you aren't writing anything, you also can't break anything. So even if the AI generates a wrong query, it's not bad because it will just show you a wrong report, but you won't break anything. So enough talking about device queries. Let us show you in a live demo. So I will hand it over to Daniel for this.
Thank you. So I will share my screen. And we will start in the single device query. So on the left side, I'm on this device, and if you go to device query, you get this view, and here you can see all the properties you can live query the device. The device need to be online. I I have it also here. And maybe the most interesting properties for a live query, which is not supported in multi-device query, because the multi-device query don't store every registry key, for example, but you can query any registry key from this device or other devices by just clicking. So you can write the KQL, or you just click on the property you want to add. And even if you want to join some tables, you just click the second one and it joins automatically the ones together. And in this example, I show you how to get one registry key. We take this one. This is the configurations from Edge on this device. Just click run, and it takes some seconds. And after a while, it shows up with all the registry keys under that one. And if you want to filter further, you can click, for example, on a subcategory, like you want to filter on the value type. And we just want to see the strings. Click add, run again. And you just get a value type string. You have here a lot of suggestions when you start with a pipe. So what you can do here in KQL on the device query is this ones. For example, you can also make a project for, so this is an SQL language, it's more a select for, you just want to see the names. And yeah, you can add the KQL and work on it until you have the result you want to see. In the single device query, you have also a little quick action, device action. So these are the common remote actions. If you identify some issue while using the device query, you can just do your remote action from here, like a sync or a restart or whatever. So, and the multi-device query, like Steven showed before, is under device query, and looks pretty similar, but with other properties, like Apple owns properties, which are, these ones are from macOS, and there are also shared properties like the OS version. There's it. When we, for example, hit the OS version over the whole fleet, this takes also a couple of seconds. While we're waiting, here's also a get started with some example queries and some links to learn the KQL here. And hopefully we get a result today.
Yeah, this may take a while. If you're running across all of your environment, of course, it's going to take a while. Needs to pull the data from the Cosmos database.
Yeah,
oh, here we go.
But now it's here. Good. We don't do a lot of this. It's maybe not the time for today. Here you get all the devices with also a quick link to the device itself. And like you can see here in the lab, we have one macOS device. So it also show up the other platforms if the platforms support this property. And here also you can filter, you can select some subcategories if you want. And yeah, but limitation, here's you cannot go over the whole fleet with which registry key is on every device. This is here not possible. Yeah, and I think when it's in your tenant, just test around. You cannot destroy something here. It's just for reporting purpose. Let's go to the presentation again, Steven?
Yeah, okay. Let me share. So as you can see, you can really do a lot with the device queries. The options are close to endless. There's a lot of information that you can pull. So there are pretty cool things you can do with it. And right now, I want to take the time to just talk how we integrated certain aspects of advanced analytics into our glueckkanja services. So I want to talk about the reporting foundation, which is a part of our managed Intune service where we can manage your tenant based on code. And the reporting foundation is a component of it where we report information into Power BI reports and also can create alerts. So we use the Graph API to get this data from the device management endpoint. And with this, we can, for instance, detect when anomalies are created. And also, for instance, get that data and put it into a Power BI report instead of having to go into the Intune portal. And the whole idea of this is really being even more proactive. So otherwise, you need to go and check the Intune portal every hour. Hey, is there a new anomaly? Is there a new anomaly? And we created actually an alert. So you get an email notification. Hey, there's a new anomaly that got detected. These are the information. This is the information to it. So just to show you a quick example how this would look like. So this is an example email. So of the example we had before of the anomaly of the new Outlook, so olk.exe, this is how an email would look like. And of course, like this, you're even one step closer to being proactive because you don't have to go and check the Intune environment all the time. You get notified per mail, and we can even feed this into a ticketing system, and then you get a ticket. So we really thought that this is even a step closer to proactive endpoint management. And of course, we know managers also like nice reports, and usually they don't have an Intune administrator. So what we also did is here just a few examples how we can summarize anomalies, for instance, in a report. This is a Power BI report, and we can track what anomalies are open, how long they are open, when they close, and also the severity. And here's just another example. Battery health. So you can see what applications and what processes are actually using the batteries in your environment. So no need to go into the Intune portal and having to check that out there. You just get a nice report which you can send to the corresponding people, and it looks good. And one last example here. So this I find specifically cool. So the resource performance, here we can see what hardware type performs how. And this is also all based on the advanced analytics data. And we can, for instance, see here on the right side at the very bottom, I think the Surface Laptop 5, 100% critical. I think it needs a life cycle. So I find this quite a cool idea to just gather this information and create good looking reports also to get you further. Then let me hand it to you, Daniel, to talk a bit about RealmJoin.
Yeah, RealmJoin is also on the boat here from us. RealmJoin is a companion to Intune, a product from us, which adds value to application management, application development. We have a lot of applications auto-updated in our store, which can be deployed over our agent or Intune itself. And it adds a lot of different features to the device management itself. One of it is the orchestration of runbooks, so automations for Intune, in Intune, and also for Teams, Exchange, Entra, whatever. But here we built a RealmJoin runbook, which creates endpoint analytics baselines. Stephen showed you in the beginning of the first demo. The baseline is not a new feature with advanced analytics, but it's a feature of endpoint analytics. And it also is nice for advanced analytics. But who goes scheduled every month into the Intune portal and creates a new baseline to check it back later? So we created a script which you can schedule over RealmJoin, which creates your baselines basically in a monthly schedule, yearly schedule, quarter schedule, whatever. Because they are a maximum of 20 baselines. It also removes the oldest baseline if you want, but this is an optional feature. on the left side is what you can configure. So you can do your own name schema, like with date, with month, whatever you want to write there. You don't need to schedule it. It's also working on demand from the RealmJoin portal. On the right side, you also have auditable the output, which was created through this runbook itself. If you are interested in RealmJoin or want to do a trial, you can look up on the homepage, and also you can, if you are interested on the managed Intune service we provide, where the runbooks are also included, you can just watch on the glueckkanja.com website. Yeah, that's it from us. Thank you for your attention. I hope
thanks
you
everyone.
liked the webcast, and maybe we see us in the next ones.